Hey everybody, Molly from Northridge 4x4 here again. Today we're going to do an install of AMP Research power boards on this 2009 JK. But first, before we do the install, let's take a closer look at the product. Developed, engineered, and manufactured in America, the Power Step is an automatic electric power running board that instantly extends when you open the doors. The Power Step hides itself out of sight when the doors are closed for ground clearance, aerodynamics, and appearance. The design is built to be reliable, set to the industry standard, and withstand all types of weather. The instruction manual says it takes about 3 to 5 hours for installation. We've got everything ready here on our end, so let's just go ahead and dive right into the install. The tools required for this install is a 13mm socket wrench, a 13mm end wrench, a ratchet wrench and extension, wire crimpers, wire stripper / cutter, a 3/16 Allen wrench, a 4mm Allen wrench, and a 5mm Allen wrench. So we'll start off by locating the rear linkage installation position in front of the rear body mount. We're going to remove this screw here and replace it with one of the supplied screws as well as one of the spacers. We want to keep these loose and we'll torque them down later. That way it makes the rest of the installation process a little smoother. Next, we're going to install the rear idler linkage. So the easiest way to do this that we found was to line up this back bolt, which is going to go in there, goes right through here. Get that in the back bracket first. Remember how I said to keep everything loose? This is why right here. So once you have that in there just a little bit, we want to make sure this linkage is flat up against this pinch plate. Little hex bolt, go right into there. Once you have them kind of loosely in there, you can go ahead and tighten those in there. You can also go back to the original one and make sure that's tightened, because that's not going anywhere now. And with your Allen head tip, we're going to go ahead and tighten the top piece. Now, per the instructions, it says to torque these down to 16 foot-pounds, so that's what we're going to do right now, just to make sure it doesn't come loose. And right there, so that's good. Next, we're going to install the U-nut under the vehicle in the middle of the front door for the front motor linkage, just like this. There you go. Next, we're going to slide the motor assembly onto the drive shaft and mounting bosses of driving linkage assembly. Next, we're going to use a hex bolt and washer on the outer location and tighten to 8 foot-pounds. Next, we're going to install the front motor linkage with the motor. Now with the front motor lightly secured, we're going to slide the light bracket right behind the pinch plate here and tighten it down. Just like that. So the next step, we're going to take the actual board and lay it on the arms just to balance it for now. We're going to take these little brackets here, make sure they're lined up with the bottom of the arms, and then rotate it down so that we'll have the screws underneath lined up with the matching holes underneath. We'll put one screw here just to kind of loosely secure this, and then one here, and then we'll finish it up by putting the rest on. All right, so now that we got the power boards installed, we're going to move into the electrical. First thing we want to do is take the wiring harness and remove the fuse so we don't accidentally short anything out. Don't lose this, it's really important, you need that for later. Then we're going to take the controller module and install it on the inside of the passenger firewall. Next, we'll secure it with the provided zip ties. Next, we're going to route the longest leg of wire harness across the firewall to the driver's side and under the vehicle outside of frame rail. Then we're going to route the shortest leg of wire harness down the firewall and outside of frame rail on passenger side. Now what we want to do is we want to feed the wire harness straight down along the outside of the frame. And you should be able to see it underneath, and you can kind of pull it through to help it get through. Make sure it doesn't get caught up on anything else when you're doing this either. And then to keep the install nice and clean, use the provided zip ties, and we can zip tie this nice in here, right in here, and it still looks really clean. So taking the wiring harness from the top that we fed down, we want to keep continuing to feed it right through here along the rail or the body frame. Over on the passenger side, we're going to do the same thing. However, we want to keep this other wire with the purple side, or the purple wires in it, keep that off to the side. Don't that goes somewhere else, so don't put that down here. Okay, now we're underneath the Jeep and we want to feed these purple wires right through this grommet hole, which is located underneath the passenger side. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is take these cables that we just threaded through the floorboard and cut a little slit in the floor grommet, and then just thread them through that as well. With all the wires threaded through the grommet, just put the grommet back into the floor. With the cables coming through the bottom, we went ahead and stripped the end off to expose the wire underneath, and we're going to use these posi tap connectors to connect this violet gray cable to the violet gray cable from the factory wiring harness. All right, now that we found the gray wire, take the gray cap off of the posi tap connector, slide it around the cable just like that, and then taking the middle piece and screwing it with, make sure the spike is into the gray cap, and then screw that into place. Next, you want to take the red cap and thread the wire that's coming through the floorboard, and that goes right into the bottom of the posi tap connector. Repeat this process for the other 3 cables. So now what we do is plug the harness in. All right, with the cables wired out through the rest of the Jeep, we're gonna go ahead and put the covers on over the motors. When you slide these on, you wanna make sure that this little hole here fits this little rubber gasket right up in there. It's a little tricky to do at first, but it's not impossible. Okay, so that's in there. And then you just line up the outside. It's gonna be hard to see from your angle, but there's a hole here and there's holes here that line up with this. And what we put in those holes is we take these little plastic lock snaps. We'll take the base piece, slide it into the little hole, make sure it lines up, and then you take the top half and then just slide that right in there as well. All right, so everything's wired up, power boards are connected. We went ahead and connected the positive and negative terminals to the battery underneath, and this is what it looks like. Not a bad little deal. Good little step here for you to get in and out of your Jeep. This is rated for 600 pounds, which I'm well under. When you close the door, there's a slight delay, making sure you got off and got out of the way, and it tucks right back in nice and neat. The install took us probably right around 4 hours, and that's including this video. So a big shout out to R&R for lining this install up for us, and even a bigger shout out to Joe Bovey for allowing us to borrow his Jeep and helping us out with the install. For more information on this, you can check out the link at the end of this clip, or our website at northridge4x4.com. And once again, I'm Malo. Thanks for watching.